rAVe Radio. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves with Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rants and Raves. This is our pre-InfoComm 2025 series, talking about all of the things and getting excited for InfoComm 2025. Joining me this time is Craig Moffett and Miguel Galindo of Datavideo, and they're joining me from a setup that is actually pretty incredible, and I can say it's pretty incredible because I've kind of demoed it in a way myself before. But first of all, what's going on, you guys? How are you? How is the mad dash to InfoComm going?
That's exactly the right word for it. So basically, we're going to be a little more ambitious of a workflow for Datavideo than we normally do. We're doing 6 different workflows at the show, and so yeah, we have to kind of put them all together here, test them, make sure they work, and then pack them, and hopefully everything comes back out of the cases, everything like it's supposed to. So hopefully we'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to give us a quick overview? So what's Datavideo showcasing at InfoComm, and like what's the big story behind the automated workflows?
Okay, so basically what we have is, like you said, Steph, you've already seen this automated podcast at NAB, and there are a few changes that I'll talk about later, but also I wanted to mention some other things we're going to be showing. We're also going to show how to automate a city council meeting with using different types of microphones like Shure and Sennheiser. We're also going to show how to do a huddle space room, like with a PTZ camera taking voice track positions automatically. So really, really cool how we're doing that. And so there's a ton of different things. Of course, we have a built-in conference room that's going to be where we have 6 cameras in there, and we'll take advanced windowing options and basically how to control a room automatically using an MXA920 or some other type of microphone.
Very cool. So do you want to talk a little bit, Miguel, about like the difference in making a podcast versus a city council versus a huddle space setup, and technologically what's different there, but also technologically what kind of like binds all of those or ties all of those together from a technology standpoint?
Right. So what binds it all together is the VoiceTRX100. That unit from Datavideo never changes. That's always going to be what brings everything into the fold. So you have some kind of microphone, or maybe it's in the case of the huddle space, there's no VoiceTRX100 integrated in that huddle space. That's going to be a camera that takes positioning data, and the microphone knows where people are. But for the other workflows, for the city council and for the podcast, it's the VoiceTRX100 that is using the positional data from a microphone, and then it's either through audio. So in this workflow, for instance, that Craig and I are using right now, this is with the Allen Heath AHM audio processor. So if I'm speaking into a microphone, I have a camera set up to come over and get my shot, and then the switcher will cut to that shot, and all that happens within milliseconds. And then if Craig speaks, it'll cut over to him. If both of us speak, or if none of us speak, it'll cut to a wide shot. So that's how it works. And then at NAB, you did an interview with us in our podcast space. And in that scenario, we're using an Audio-Technica ceiling microphone. And then that was telling the VoiceTRX100 where we were, and the audio production was separate. So in this case, the audio production is included into the voice tracking workflow.
Very cool. So you kind of both hinted at it, but let's kind of talk about the podcast setup a little bit more. What's new here? I mean, you kind of talked about what's new here versus what was at NAB, but do you want to dig in a little bit more about like what's needed and what's not in these two setups?
Yeah, I'll just hone in a little bit here more about the application. Now, we're thinking in terms of people that can't really use a ceiling microphone. They need to have something like this. So, and you think in terms of even in a church setting, a liturgical church or something like that, where you're using a lapel microphone, and you might need positions that are different than where an array microphone could give you. And so one of the things we added to this workflow is something that Allen and Heath will allow you to do is a trigger mat, pressure mat, and you can actually step on this mat and actually will trigger a position when you stand. So when you stand in different spots in the room, I think I have a slide that shows someone doing that and so basically what you can do that, and that's really kind of a cool way for a training facility or, like I said, a church that needs that kind of position. And we can demonstrate that for you right now if you'd like. So
Yeah, that'd be great. Please show me.
Okay, well, Miguel's actually going to step on the mat here, so.
Okay, perfect.
Oh.
Wait. That's
Sorry,
so
Our
cool.
camera got knocked.
Our camera
a bit,
got bumped, but anyway, the preset got messed up, but you got the idea. He was standing
No.
right next to me.
Yeah, no, wait, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that to me is really, and you can mix and match, obviously. So I can talk in a microphone if I need to, or walk over and step on something that's at a podium, or if I'm in a training facility, I'm working on something, or like I said, a liturgical church where something is where a pastor or priest is actually going in different spots every single time. That all can be automated in that type of atmosphere. So to me, that's a real change in the way we think about how to have a volunteer in a church, for example. You don't need a volunteer for video. So that to me is a really cool idea that I don't think anyone else is talking about right now. So.
Yeah, that was going to actually be my next question, was about like mixing and matching the triggers. So mixing and matching between both mic activity and a pressure mat, like I just saw that happen. So do you want to talk a little bit about like how that exactly works?
Yeah, sure. So the Allen Heath audio processor has Phoenix connectors in the back. So this pressure mat just has two Phoenix little cables coming out. One's for ground and one's for an input. And the audio processor has a GPIO input. And that all sounds like a bunch of mumble jumble. I just learned about it, but it wasn't hard to put together. So all we're doing is having the Allen Heath tell the VoiceTRX100 that the pressure mat's actually a microphone. So it's just, I said it's microphone 4. And so for all intensive purposes, the VoiceTRX100 is just like, all right, zone 4, preset 4 on camera 3, boom, and it cuts over. And that's it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So
you can have multiple,
this whole thing
mats too.
Yeah, this whole thing is that it's incredibly cool and different, and like it seems like a technical marvel, but it is actually not different at all to set it up, or not difficult at all to set it up.
No, most of the integrators that we work with, they basically already, of course, they're one of our customers, but they also know about Allen and Heath and know how to set those up. So it's also a really good, we're kind of like working together with Allen and Heath on this and being a good partner with them on how to do this and teaching our customers on how to do it as well. So I think that's the part that makes it really interesting for us, is that we have partners with Shure, Sennheiser, Audio-Technica, now Allen and Heath, and we're really excited to introduce that part of our partnership here at the show.
I love that. So I have kind of a dumb question, so you'll kind of have to excuse it, but can you use any mic, like a dynamic, a condenser, a handheld? Does any mic work the same way?
Yeah, any mic works the same way. So the way that it's working is you can actually customize what the levels are. So for instance, right now we have it set so that anything that goes above negative 15 decibels is going to trigger an input. So that's why it's coming over to me. And then if I don't speak and the levels go below negative 25 decibels, then the VoiceTRX will cut away. And so any microphone that could achieve that without bleeding into the other microphones, and that's key. So you mentioned dynamic microphones. It's probably best to use dynamic and condenser mics so that you don't have bleed off from the other microphones. But yeah, anything could work. These are Shure microphones. These are just basic podcast microphones. Is it the XM7? I think so. Something like that. Yeah, they're not expensive. I think they're like $150. So yeah, any microphone will work in this workflow.
That's amazing.
So it's agnostic basically for any microphone. That's the beauty of the Allen and Heath and just using XLR outputs on this. I think it also has a Dante option. We're not going to show that at InfoComm, but I noticed that it's on the Allen and Heath device where they have a Dante input. So that could also work.
Yeah, actually the hardest part about setting up this workflow was just deciding which microphones to use. That was really the biggest question that we had, was like, do we keep using the same microphones or do we use a different one?
Yeah, these are the same ones we have for NAB. So it's fine.
Yes. So this makes a lot more sense, kind of going back to the different like real world applications and demos that you're showing at the booth. Like this makes so much sense now when you go to that podcast setup, when you go to that huddle space, that city council kind of showing how this can be scaled down or scaled up for any of those solutions. That's so exciting.
Correct. And so basically each one of those stations that we have set up, one's going to be dedicated for the city council. Of course, we're going to be using a city council type microphone. So, and those will trigger the positions. We won't be using Allen and Heath in that situation. We'll be using, I think, the MXCW from Shure. And then we have another station where we're actually going to show an NDI table that it will be able to switch without a switcher, or I should say it's basically, it's not really switching. It's actually taking the NDI signal into the hub of your switch, and it actually will take positions based on when someone triggers that. So you don't even need a traditional production switcher from Datavideo or anywhere else. You just use the VoiceTRX will be able to do all that for you. You plug as many NDI cameras as you want and take positions on the microphone. It's a really cool idea that will, again, be, I think, the only one at the show that will have something like this available. So that's what we're phoning. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just trying to say, I forgot to mention, I just really think that's what's unique about Datavideo. We try to find solutions that no one else is doing, and that we're doing it in a way that might be a little bit different because we come from a production background, broadcast background, and we're bringing more broadcast tools to the AV space. We hope that makes a difference for a lot of these type of applications. It's more professional looking. It's, instead of using a webcam in some cases, we're using a professional PTZ camera and still looking a lot, the quality of your video is going to look much better. And that's part of why I think we're different from some of our competitors.
Right, bringing broadcast to AV.
Exactly.
Right? Better optics, better cameras, and then a more, like a fluid production. And again, I'm not over there switching, so I like this workflow.
I mean,
this is all automated, so that's great.
And we talked about this a little bit at NAB, right? About how AV actually has a lot that they can learn from the broadcast industry. And it seems like that is finally, like, we're learning. The AV industry is finally starting to take that into account, right?
Yeah, I talked to a lot of churches at NAB, and they wanted to mount professional cinema cameras on one of our PTZ pan tilt heads, and they're basically, some of them are using red cameras, and they're working into their worship services, and they just want the best images possible. And then just to add on to what VoiceTRX can do is you can actually use any camera you want. If you don't want the camera to move and do presets, you can bring your own camera, and the switcher will just cut to that HDMI input when you have an active microphone. So it's really, there's not really a limit to what could be done. It's just up to the imagination of the end user system integrator.
The key word is automation.
Go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
No, automation is the key. That's really what we're going to show. And so everything you're talking about is, we just don't need an operator in the room to have a well-produced meeting or production or whatever you're doing. So that's the part that we really want to emphasize at InfoComm this year.
Yeah. And I mean, if anything's emphasizing, I think it's this, like, you guys have a full scale production happening and there's no operator. This is so incredible to look at from this side, because at NAB, I was kind of using it from your side. So it's so cool to get to see it happening. I will say the other thing I love about you guys is how incredibly end user friendly your products are, because you recognize that the people who are going to be using these products are not like highly trained broadcast or AV professionals. A lot of times they're going to be those people who work in houses of worship or universities, or they're going to be the people who are trying to quickly set up the huddle room to get it to work. So I do love how user friendly this is, and how easy it is to just almost plug and play, and it just works. Thank you for pointing that out. I think you're right. I think we've made a real effort to help
I mean, broadcasters, of course, they buy equipment and they make a living using that equipment. But that's not the case with an educator or someone that, like you said, house of worship. And these are the markets that we're targeting, and everything has to just work easily with the push of a button. And we've hopefully simplified these workflows to where that is the case. So
Yeah.
And what's easier than what could be easier than automation? So then you don't have to do anything. You walk in the room and start your pod, push a button to start the recording, and you can do a podcast like we're doing right now. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, congratulations. I cannot wait to see all of these in person at InfoComm. It was good getting to catch up with you guys before the show, though.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. And for those watching, your booth is 4061, so all of you watching can come and see it in person yourselves. So thanks again, you guys, and I appreciate you guys being on this episode of Rants and Raves.
Thank you. Thanks, Steph, for having us. Appreciate it.
All right, and to everyone watching or listening, we will see you next time. Again, I'm Steph Beckett. Bye.
Rave Radio. With Rants and Raves, you'll